Hi, it's John with another review that I keep telling myself I'm not going to do. I just finished playing Jedi Fallen Order, and although it was kind of a glitch-filled mess, whether it was inexplainable clothing physics, or super awkward excited lightsaber movements, or fully ignited lightsabers that were supposed to be sheathed, bad ground physics, bad tree physics, or just bad/weird physics altogether, the game wasn't a complete letdown. It made up for it by having a seriously awesome story. And even though Cal was constantly shaking with fear for the enemies, sometimes who seemed to have no intentions of attacking him for some reason, or others who gave off very aggressive Chad vibes, Cal was still able to calm down underwater to talk with his little robot friend BD-1.
All right. Let's work.
There's no reason he should be talking. He's supposed to have a mouth breather on right now. This happened multiple times. But I digress. The main method of space transportation in this game was the Stinger Mantis, a relatively small, brightly colored ship flown by the small-bodied, large-headed, four-armed lateral named Captain Grease Dreidus? I forget.
The Mantis. Ever since I picked this ship up, it's been my only home.
At this point in time, LEGO has not made an official Mantis set, and I wanted to complete my trifecta of awesome Star Wars ships from awesome Star Wars video games, the other two being Starkiller's Rogue Shadow from Force Unleashed 1, and Dash Rendar's Outrider from the Shadows of the Empire. So I went to Rebrickable to see if anyone less lazy than myself had already built one. After deciding exactly what I wanted, which was a playset size, full interior, dual rotating wing and engine, and free instructions, I found dannyfordjohnson's Stinger Mantis, and unable to find any review videos on it, I decided to dive headfirst into the build myself. After downloading the inventory, I collected the pieces I could find from my own stockpile, and then made a few purchases from Bricklink, and then built the ship, and without further ado, here are two perspectives on the final product. Okay, so here I am with Joseph. He has more Legos than possibly anyone I know, including some of the store owners.
I don't know about that, but close maybe.
He's a huge Lego connoisseur, especially Star Wars. He's a big Star Wars fan. How many gunships do you have total, roughly?
I think the last count that I could put my hands on was 26.
26 gunships.
Well, he's got a head start. We'll have to catch up.
He's here to just take a look at the Mantis and give his thoughts on it, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on it. The difference being he's looking at it built, and I built it. So, be right back. There it is. So yeah, it's playset size, which I was hoping for. It's supposed to be smaller than the Falcon, which it is-ish. The wing moves, which I love. They move independently, too. So that has the these two guys.
And there we go. Apply the right pressure.
Just for scale, here is a Falcon.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so maybe let's put. So you can see that's kind of back to back. So yeah, they're just about the same size.
We have an interior.
Open it up.
I just threw this guy together. There were no figs, obviously. It's just the ship.
So I think my first impression of this is that there's a fairly well-developed interior for here, and pretty true to what the game shows. I'm really actually glad that they made the ship wide enough that you can not only get the characters to go in there and stand up, but also they have room to move. Like you could put several characters here in some sort of interaction with each other. There's actually a lot of playability here. It's very nice.
Yeah, so the inside is really, it's actually pretty perfect up to here. Mm-hmm. So there's the cockpit. This is the planet GPS thing where you choose where to go. Doors on both sides. It's got the little garden here, which is actually back here in the game. It's got the seating area. They added a little head rest there, which isn't in the game, but whatever. The only thing they're missing, and this is only because they had this mechanism, and I would much prefer this mechanism. Mm-hmm. The meditation area is right here, and then there's a tool desk to upgrade your lightsaber at the very back.
The very rear. I think it's actually a better design than probably what LEGO would if LEGO were to produce the Stinger Mantis as a set. Do you know how many pieces this was?
900 something, I think.
Okay. They might try to, can I use the term juniorize the build?
A lot of ships have just enough room for people to sit like toe-to-toe or back-to-back. And I love how there's just empty room in here. I bought the Balrog from... I'm looking at the mic when I'm talking. I bought the Balrog from Brick Vault, and that was pretty cool. Uh-huh. But to a point, you never know what you're getting when you get someone else's instructions.
Sure.
It might look amazing and then be terrible. So I was really happy that this whole top piece just easily comes off.
Right. And the top piece, if you can see it, is actually very well designed with some very interesting build techniques. I do plan to build this myself at some time in the near future. And I think this was very well done.
And speaking of build techniques, I don't know if you noticed there's studs on both sides of this wing, which is an interesting build technique. They use the plates with pinholes back to back on each other.
Oh, okay.
Now, I guess this is a good segue into building it. It was a nightmare.
Oh no!
First of all, and this wasn't the builder's fault. I don't know how the instructions are made, but I assume it's some kind of like you digitally build your set and then the program says I'll make steps for it. I'm sure that's how it works.
Right.
So I went through my own collection first, got everything I needed, and then had a list of things I still needed in Bricklington. These pieces were in the inventory, and they weren't in the build. These are all the...
Yeah, that's a fair number of extra pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were other pieces that probably about the same amount that were
I'm
not
going to play with the bricks like they're a fidget spinner.
There were a number of pieces that were not in the inventory that should have been. Back to the way the instructions were laid out, and I've got them right here so you can see, and I'll put them up on the screen too. Step 1 and 2. It's easy enough. Step 3. Where'd they go? They're gone. You don't see them again till the end of the build, where it's this and this, and they're like there, but it doesn't tell you to put them on. It's just like a picture.
Right.
So
they just
at the end of the build, I'm like, where did these two go? And then I realized that they were there.
In a sense, you kind of get what you pay for. Now, my understanding is that these are free instructions on Rebrickable.
Yeah, they were free. So again, these aren't strikes against the set because free instructions. Clearly, you can get through it. It's a challenge. I actually felt really good after I finished it because I was so accomplished.
Right.
It was just definitely a challenge.
Right.
This is an example of something that happened a number of times, especially when Technics were involved. So here we have these two pins coming together and touching each other. And when things like that happen in this build, you need to make a mental note and not connect anything after that would seal them in, because next we have these that go under there. Then we put these in. Again, this is already after these are technically inaccessible. You have to take this whole brick out to take that pin out.
Yeah.
We're putting more stuff in. We're putting more stuff in. Putting more stuff in. We're putting more stuff in.
Right.
More. This goes on to step 195 is when you can finally... So what you want to do is take these two blocks out, build this,
the whole
and then put it together.
mechanism.
And then that's not even the end of that. There's 2 steps later that it says you need a pin here, and it goes in between.
The middle. When you're building with these secondary made instructions, read ahead. It's not exactly a one-for-one with a Lego made set. And again, if you ever wonder where your money's going for the Lego made set and the reason why they're slightly more expensive than maybe they have been in the past.
Appreciation for Lego prices.
Right.
Here was one of my favorite pages.
Ignore this page.
Here's the beginning of the fin.
That's a very clever use of those in order to create a very compact and it feels very sturdy.
It is
now that it is completely constructed.
I love the look. Because the other option would be having the underside of Legos on one side, which I think is really ugly. I think that's the Bad Batch show that did that, actually.
Our squad's nothing but trouble.
One thing I did change because of price was this. This is an often used as an X-wing, a UCS X-wing shield. There was like one US Bricklink cell that had it for $6, and after that it was $25 and up. And so I was like, oh, I'm not spending that much on that. And then I switched it to the dark tint.
Yeah.
And it was $5.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, in closing, I love this set, and I'm very glad I went with this because the other options seem to be the $12 version that there's a ton of videos of, and it looks like a great set, but it was $12, and it was like way more pieces. And I was trying to keep it cheap, and this one was free and way less pieces. And they're, for the most part, they're normal pieces. I had most of them in my collection. It was like, obviously this is a weird piece, but aside from that, you know, I started keeping a list of the pieces that were not in the inventory that should have been. So I'm going to include that in the description. So if you want to build it, check the description. It may not be perfect, but it will definitely have some of the pieces that are needed that aren't mentioned. Some of these were in and not used, but some of them were like used, but it was impossible to put them in by the time I got to them.
I certainly plan on
not taking instructions into account. It's definitely A+.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great. We just need to get a crew for it now.
Yeah.
Guess we got a topic for our next video.
Yeah. Coming across one of those forum guys for less than $50 will be what we're talking about.
Who knows? This is where, you know, bulk deals come in for the win. Maybe we'll find something in a random bin in the next couple weeks.
All right. Well, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yep. See you later.
All right.
I never planned the outro.
So